This is Teri. This is Teri's Shoe Store, where she specializes in custom shoes and shoe repair. This is Teri's Workshop, where all the magic happens. You know what they say, all work and no play. When she's not hard at work, this is where you'll find her. And this is Teri's YouTube channel.
Aloha fellow YouTubers, welcome to my channel, Teri Edmonds. I am Teri Edmonds. I am a cobbler amongst other things, and today you are watching a show. This is going to be a sort of a how-to, and it's about repairing the bottom of this really cool Louis Vuitton sneaker. This happens to be called the Meteor. It was actually put into fashion. The shoe came out in 2010 from Louis Vuitton. The original price was about $600. You can now find them online, maybe $170. I kind of looked around. They're hard to find. And so anyway, this guy saved his, which is awesome. And they were in really great shape. And speaking of which, this is a shout out to Walter from Georgia. Thank you so much for sending me the business and your shoes. So I'll show a picture here of the original. That is the original Meteor. And it had a white sole on the bottom. All of this was white. And the client wanted it navy to match the rest of the shoe, but he didn't want to lose his Louis Vuitton logo on the bottom. Isn't that cool? All right, so this was super fun. I'm gonna give you some steps. The first step was painting the shoe. Second step was actually putting on the sole. We actually put this nice, I consulted with the client and told him he probably didn't wanna just paint the sole, because that would definitely wear off for street walking, you know? So I recommended we do the taupey soles, which you'll see in a number of my videos. I love taupey, Topalon. It is very thin, it has a nice low profile. You can't even tell that it's got a new sole on it. So I wanted to make sure to keep the window here. I did a special little cutout in the taupey. Look how cool that is. And now it's super street worthy. He could get a ton of miles on him. I used some, I'm actually gonna put a link to this video, and it's gonna be called the Louis Vuitton Meteor package. There were a lot of steps in this. I say one or two, but for me, because I'm a perfectionist and this client specifically saw me on YouTube, I wanted to make sure he got top-notch service, which everybody does, but this was extra fun. Some main products that you'll find in that package is the navy blue Angelus leather paint, and also the Meltonian. I used some cream polish just to touch up the navy. Of course, glue, taupey, my razor knife, some of the basics. And anyway, so it was a really fun project. I rate this shoe on a Louis Vuitton scale. I would give it a 4.5 stars because this has an amazing leather lining on the inside. It has a removable insole that if it's uncomfortable, you can take that out. Intentionally made that way by Louis Vuitton. And just overall, the way it held up, of course the client took really good care of it, but I did some things like I cleaned the canvas or the denim for him, so it would get rid of that surface dirt that he's had on there for a while. And voila, Louis Vuittons, they're awesome. We're here at step 1 of painting this Louis Vuitton. And what I'm going to be using will be this navy blue. This is the Angelus, and I sell this on my Amazon shopping cart. They can ship it directly to you. It's a great price. I think, under $8. This will last the whole shoe. As I discussed, I'm going to go ahead and paint. All of this is going to go navy, and I'm going to put a little bit of the paint around the bottom of the sole just so that when I put the final sole on top, it won't have any white showing and I don't have to go in later and kind of touch up right there. It's not so easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, but I did want to mention, and I'm using just a basic standard artist brush. I really like these. I spend a little bit more for my brushes because I want the quality to be good. I don't want the hairs to come out, and I found I've experimented on some different ones on Amazon, and you know, some of the cheaper ones, the hairs will fall out right away. So anyway, this has been a pretty good set. This is part of the Royal collection. I believe I have them, a link of them on my website as well. I'm gonna freehand this, and I'm just gonna give a little tip to those of you who aren't used to painting. And that is that, one, if you're worried about the project and hurting the shoe or, you know, damaging your product, I would use some Scotch tape, masking tape, excuse me. And I learned this trick from my brother because he does auto body. Anyway, super simple. You just, let's see if you, yeah, you can see that. So I would just put the tape here and just get it in really close to the edge, as close as possible. You know, see, it's pretty easy, pretty quick. I'm just using my fingernail to push that tape onto the shoe. So that's nice. I think for me though, I'm a pretty good artist. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just freestyle it. And to do that, one little trick somebody taught me who is a professional house painter is that you hold your brush at a 90-degree angle. So when I come here onto this shoe, I'm not just gonna put my brush flat. I'm not gonna set it like this. I'm going to actually turn it. So when I go to brush, it just the first bristles get in there, right? I have much more control. So I'll probably do all the trim work. And this is kind of a rough edge, so that's gonna take a little extra painting. So I'm just gonna take my time. I'm gonna put on some good music and paint up this shoe. I'll let that dry. It'll probably only take one coat. And after that, I'll let it dry overnight, and then we'll go on to step 2. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm about to glue this sneaker, and I wanted to show you because this is kind of tricky. Because I'm placing this little hole over this here and I'm using contact cement, I'm going to go ahead and just do a strip about like this of glue on the pattern and on the actual shoe, avoiding the logo, of course. And what I like to do is I like to glue that part first, stick it on because it'll adhere as soon as the two items touch each other. Then I'll go ahead and bend this side up and then glue this side. Once that's dry, I'll press this down and then I'll come this way and do the other side. That's how you're able to get a nice accurate and adhering to the shoe without taking it apart and not getting the line up quite right. And when I did this, I went ahead and marked a square around the logo so that I know exactly where to put my line. And yeah, so that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do now. Okay, so here we are gluing. the original glue I had was a little bit too thick, so I added some thinner to it. This is about the consistency that you want of a glue. Nice and runny there. And anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just run a nice edge of glue right here along the line that I had marked. And I'm going a little over it just so that I know it'll catch the taupey material when I put it on. And again, right on this little line that I've made. And we are going just in this one section here, so I'm not going to get all crazy with this. Alright, so because I want a straight line like this, and then I want the same thing on the bottom. And this is the reason, as I showed you earlier, when I so I'm going to go ahead and just put a nice, make sure it's a nice straight line. Get all the sides all the way to the edge so that I don't have any open gaps on the side once I put that material. And the glue's a little runny here. And I'm going to do the same now on the actual pattern here. So I'm going to do right here through this hole, I'll just do a nice little section around it. Again, I want to be sure to get right in on those edges because I want every single part of this sole to adhere and not leave any gaps that I have to go in and fix later. So you see a similarity? See how I've got just nice straight across. That way when I go, when it's stuck and I pull it up, it's going to give me a one straight line of stop, you know. So that's nice. And now I'm going to go ahead and put it on while it's, actually I think I'll let it dry first. Sometimes you want to put it on wet so it can move around, but I'm pretty good at placing. If you aren't and you haven't used contact cement too much, go ahead and put it together wet and then put it on. You'll get your spot and you'll be fine. Once you take it off, you can't move it around. Okay, so here's the first layer. There's little pen marks. I'm gonna do the final touches on that when I'm done with the shoe. I'll put some ink probably in there, but I just wanted to show you what I meant. So here now we have a nice straight edge to glue, so I can glue this, I can glue this side down here, and I don't have to worry about whether my mark is going to be made here. So very glad it's sticking really well, so that's a good sign. All right, I better finish the rest of it. So here we go. This is the sole's been glued on now, and I did all this extra space around it so that if I had trouble trying to line up the square on the bottom and the toe moved a little bit, there would be plenty of material to catch it, so I wouldn't have to redo it. And I've got a nice sharp blade in my razor knife, and I'm just going to go ahead and start on the side here. See how easy that cuts? If it's not cutting easy for you, it means you've got a dull razor blade. So I'm just going to do this all the way around, and I'm still giving myself some wiggle room so that I can sand it. I'm going to come through with my sander and do some sanding for the finishing touch, and some black edging. And see, it's going nice and smooth. I'm using lots of control so I don't get an out of control razor knife. On a typical taupey sole, I usually only do about 1/4 of an inch extra around the sides because I'm good at lining it up. But for a beginner, I'd say maybe 1/2 inch if that makes you more comfortable. It is a trick lining it up, and you only learn that over time, really, getting used to the shoes that you're working with and have an eyeball for it. So anyway, there we are. I'll do the same thing to the other side. I'll come through and sand it, and we'll be done. So here we are at the end of the show. Thanks again for joining me. If you have any questions about the products I used, feel free to make a comment down below. I will definitely get back with you. Just like this gentleman, if you don't have a cobbler in your area, feel free to send them to me. Put a little tracking label on that, and we'll make sure that your shoes get back to you and give you the desired results that you'd like. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and thanks again for joining me, YouTubers. Aloha.